And welcome back once more to The View from Here Behind Enemy Lines. My co host Mike is unable to be here. He had something that came up that he had to take care of. But I'm going to speak to our guest, Mark J. Quann, who is what would you describe yourself as? A financial advisor, I guess? Author?
Nope. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a tax advisor. I own a tax consulting company. I own a financial education company. I've written 4 books. So I used to be a financial advisor. So
I'd say a financial expert then.
yeah, I'm a professional investor. I'm an entrepreneur. I build companies. I teach people to build wealth and legally avoid taxes. So
Okay. Yeah, you've written 4 books. The one we're here to talk about today is Be Smart, Pay Zero Taxes, Use the Buy, Borrow, Die strategy to get rich and stay rich.
there it
That's the
is right
one.
there. That's the one.
there.
So
And your previous ones are Top 10 Ways to Avoid Taxes, not evade, folks, avoid. Okay,
legally, yeah.
legally, yes. Top 25 ways an IUL can secure your financial future. What's an IUL?
An IUL is a risk-free investment built inside an insurance policy. So if you take an investment that's risk-free, put it inside an insurance policy, you have risk-free and tax-free investing, and then you can borrow from it to buy additional assets. So yeah, we'll talk. We go down whatever rabbit hole you want today. So
Okay. And your fourth book is Rich Man, Poor Bank. What the banks don't want you to know about money.
Yeah, Rich Man, Poor Bank was my first book I ever wrote. It was what the banks don't want you to know about money. It talks about financial education goes up, bank profit goes down. Financial education goes down, and bank profit goes up. So there was that inverse relationship between where the banks didn't want you to understand how money works. They make more money if you're struggling.
Okay. So ignorance is their friend. Financial ignorance.
Very much, yeah. The entire financial industry is built not to see you get ahead. It's built to keep you struggling.
Which is probably why our educational system does not teach finance to students.
Well, and if they did, it would be just well, people, and there's the difference between financial education and banking education, right? So I wrote about this in my first book. So financial education is how to build wealth and not pay taxes. That's financial education. Financial education isn't work hard, pay your taxes, save money, get good credit, put your money in a retirement account. That's Wall Street education. It's banking education. So what most people think is financial education isn't financial education. That's banking education. It's to enrich the wealth of shareholders. So,
okay, it's keeping you in the cage, I guess.
I call it the debt matrix. It's a debt matrix. You ever watch The Matrix?
Yes. Oh, love it.
Yeah, it says you were born a slave.
This is true, and they keep you one.
They do. They do. If you look, if you look at the definition of slavery in the dictionary, most people fit. They don't. I mean, they're probably offended when you call them that, but no, it's the definition of slavery. Just look it up in the dictionary.
Right.
So, nah.
All right. Let's see. How did you get? Okay, I understand that you got into finance, but how did you do that? How did you become such an expert on finance, having dropped out of college? Because these days they say, oh, if you don't have a college degree, you're not an expert and so forth. But the recent years, especially with the pandemic, proved that, to me anyway, that the experts are often wrong and don't know their ass from their elbow, quite frankly. And
They
sometimes they're just lying to you.
Yeah, the word pandemic was correct in my opinion. So no, all the information in colleges and universities is fed from Wall Street. Like, you think the Food and Drug Administration trying to make you health? It's the food and drug. I mean, it's like so. But no, how did I start? I was in Canada and I was in college. By the way, I don't have a high school diploma or college diploma. I dropped out of high school after grade 9.
Oh,
and then you can go to college in Canada. And by the way, how did I become a financial advisor? I passed a multiple choice test. That's it. You don't need a high school diploma. You can just go pass a multiple test and they'll call you a financial advisor. If you want to become a fiduciary, the highest standard, you go pass another multiple choice test. That's it.
This is in Canada or in Canada and the US?
No, this is the United States. Yes, these I said I used to be a financial advisor, and I was a fiduciary, the top of the top of the top. I don't have a high
Right.
school diploma, so you can be a high school dropout, and you can go become a financial advisor and a fiduciary financial advisor, and you can give financial advice.
Wow. That's
But 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 there's a key. You're only allowed to sell stuff that the broker dealer wants to sell, which maximizes the profitability for shareholders. If you sell anything else, you get fired. It's called selling away. So there's no financial advisors. There's like it's the whole industry's fraud.
okay. Yeah,
So
I've
I
heard.
can back it up with knowledge too. I'm not giving conspiracy theories. I can back it up with websites, knowledge, everything like that. I worked inside the industry for 15 years. I used to train financial advisors, and
Huh.
the whole system's a fraud.
Well, they say that you shouldn't use a financial advisor that sells you products. Only one that gets paid a flat fee and tells you what you should do, and doesn't try and sell you anything else. Is that true?
It depends. If that financial advisor who's a fiduciary flat fee works for a publicly traded company, they can't do the best thing for you because there's a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders. Fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders means maximize profits to the shareholders at all costs. Okay?
Right.
Anything, right? That's what
Any
it
company.
means. So you can't call yourself a fiduciary financial advisor when you're working for a publicly traded company that has a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders. That's actually per the definition of fraud. That is the definition of fraud. But who created the word financial advisor? Who created the word fiduciary financial advisor? Who
Banks.
created the word CPA? Who created the word retirement? Who created the word retirement account? Who created those words? Wall Street and big government.
When you say Wall Street, you mean the banks and corporations, or just the banks, or
Mega
just the
banks. Yeah,
corporation?
yeah. Mega banks. Yeah, the source of financial industry, the source of financial literacy and the regulator is actually a private company owned by the banks. They're funded by the banks and they regulate themselves and they fine themselves. If they fine people, the money goes back to they're the members, and the regulatory authority manages the members, but they are the members. That's who created the financial industry.
Wow.
That's why I resigned in 2018. That's why I'm not a financial advisor anymore. Makes sense?
Okay.
Because it's fraudulent.
Right. Speaking of fraud, I don't know if you want to touch on this, but I was thinking of asking you about what you think of the recent revelations that RFK made concerning the healthcare fraud in Florida, for example. I mean, I don't know if this is in your area of expertise, or if you want to.
I mean, I'm very familiar with the fraud. Before I was a private investigator, before I was a financial advisor, I was an insurance fraud investigator in California.
Mhm.
Right, that was my first job in California. I became an insurance investigator. Right, and we investigated some claims for the Veteran Administration because they had $250,000. This was 25 years ago to investigate fraud. So they called us and said, "Hey, we need you to spend the $250,000 because if we don't, we're not going to get it renewed at the end of the year." So I found the worst fraud in the Veterans Administration I'd ever seen in 15 years as an investigator, and they didn't do anything about it. They just spent the budget. So they wasted $250,000 to investigate fraud. They didn't investigate the fraud. The $250,000 that should be going to people that actually need it, veterans who need the money, weren't getting it. And the people committing fraud, he was rewarded because they would never cut the benefit. It wasn't about stopping the fraud. It was about spending the budget. And that's the whole entire federal government. That's all the states, everything. They're part of GDP is included in fraud, theft, and waste. So if you have a big budget, you don't care about fraud, theft, and waste. It's not your money, right? Who cares? As long as it's gone at the end of the year, you get a bigger budget. That's the whole structure of the government is just waste, fraud, and theft. They're rewarded for it.
Yeah, I heard about that. I remember 40 years ago or more, listening to the Bob Grant show. He had a fella called in who had been a buyer for one of the military, one of the branches of the military. I think it was the Air Force, but I'm not sure. And he said that at the end of the year, for example, if he had 25,000, he was explaining why we had $600 toilets and $300 screwdrivers and $200 and mirrors, because he said he would call companies at the end of the fiscal year or at the end of the month say, "Look, I got $25 million. I got to spend. What do you got for me?" And they would sell him something that would normally cost, say, $50 for $1,000, just to get all that money spent before the end of the year, because the government, in all its dubious wisdom, continues to follow that what you just described, where you have to spend what you got. Otherwise, next year we're going to cut your budget, instead of saying, if you stay under budget, we're going to give you the same thing next year. But no, they wanted you to spend everything you got. Then they will give you even more. And I don't know how much of that more is being funneled back into the pockets of senators and congressmen, quite frankly.
Yeah, because if you have a $100 million budget and you have 30 million left and it's November, you got to spend the 30 million. You're going to give contracts to your friends. Hey, we need this service. Can you provide the service for the Leering centers or the hospice care? Just doling out $30 million of tax money. You don't care where it goes. As long it might go to your friend or your relative's company or whatever. It's going to go to something, but it's just, the government is the worst. The government can print, they can tax, and they can spend. Printing creates inflation. Spending causes inflation, and fraud causes inflation. I mean, it's all included in the GDP. They go, oh, my GDP in California is going up. That's because there's massive amounts of fraud, theft, and waste. And then they have an excuse to go get bigger budgets and bailed out by the taxpayer, right? They're looting Medicare, Medi-Cal, all those things are getting looted by states that are ignoring fraud. It was like $1 million for autism care. It was $1 million in Minnesota, and then it went from $1 million to $343 million a year was spent on hospice care to help the kids. 36,000% increase within 6 years for hospice.
And the people don't even exist, right?
Yeah, for kids that don't exist. It's crazy. I'm happy that Nick Shirley found that stuff, because he kind of opened up the can, and but they're trying to go after Nick Shirley too right now. They're trying to figure out how to law it so journalists can't prosecute.
Something that's described as an anti-Nick Shirley law. They're
trying to make it illegal for independent journalists to go look at businesses where there's potential fraud, where there is fraud. So
it's where that one talking head
in California.
It's not just California. Yeah, it's like that one talking head.
Oh no, it's not California.
Sorry.
It's definitely not California. It's all states are doing it. All federal government agencies. The Pentagon can't pass their audit. There may be $800 million of the Pentagon that they don't know where it goes. They can't pass an audit. I mean, it's rampant everywhere, all over the country. So I did this post the other day. I was like, we have a $1.6 trillion deficit. Find $1.6 million of fraud, theft, and waste, and there we go. We're back to it. We'll balance the budget. So,
yeah, I mean, we found out recently that Newsom's California has over 94,000 dead people receiving federal benefits. Okay,
and there's also people voting there too, right? There's people voting there.
There's vote in mass. It started in Chicago decades ago.
Absolutely, yeah. There's people that have said they've never voted, but then there's documentation that they voted in the presidential election 33 times. So they're not getting there. There's all kinds of fraud in California. So I lived in California for 20. When I was for the 7 years I worked as an insurance advisor, it was in California. Oh, the workers' comp fraud was insane, but nobody cared because everyone was making money with it. You know what I mean? It's like, who cares? The attorney, we were getting paid. The attorneys were getting paid. It was crazy. There's so much fraud out there.
Yeah, but worse yet, even worse than the fact that they're robbing us blind. There was a doctor who was an Indian national, just paid a $14 million fine for U.S. Medicaid fraud that he perpetrated over, I don't know how many years now. I just found out about that today. And illegal aliens, it's not uncommon for illegal aliens to be practicing medicine and working in healthcare rolls all across the country, which is insane. I remember back in the
absolutely.
70s, if you had, when my father had some businesses, if you were caught hiring illegal aliens, you were fined at that time up to $10,000 per illegal. Okay, one of my father's competitors got caught with, I think, about 30 illegals working for him, so he had to pay a lot of money out to the federal government. That didn't stop him from continuing to hire, and now it's only gotten worse over the years. But, and you have a lot of people who will take positions as home health care aides and so forth, and a lot of them are here illegally. They have a fake social security number, and some of them actually they retire and try to get the social security benefits from that number. And if it belongs to a genuine American, then they're taking the social security benefits that's supposed to be going to that person. That happened to me twice, 2 years in a row, back in the 90s, where I was informed by the state that I was receiving retirement benefits, and it was under I found out that it was under a woman's name, and apparently it was somebody from Jamaica who got my social security number and was retired and was getting benefits that should have gone to me. And it took me 2 years of complaining to them, this is not me, before they stopped it. If they stopped it.
Wow. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And that's why I write books about financial literacy and not paying taxes, because all your tax dollars is being stolen by people. So like, why would I keep paying lots of taxes when, there's lots of ways to not pay much income taxes. Right. Yeah. So I know, because I don't pay a lot of income taxes.
Yeah.
They're all 100% legal. They're IRS tax codes. We can dive into that when you want. I mean, where do you want to run this?
Yeah, if you want, sure. I mean, what are your thoughts on the flat tax?
Flat tax probably never going to happen. There's too many government employees, right? So the government always gets bigger. They always keep hiring more and more pensions and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the pension liabilities, the Social Security is going to run out of money in 2032. That's right around the corner. I just interviewed, and on my YouTube channel, I interviewed David Walker. David M. Walker is the former Comptroller General of the United States. I interviewed him on the YouTube channel. Yeah, we went over it. Some things. So 2032, the Social Security Trust Fund is going to run out of money. Okay, that's right around the corner. They don't include food and energy in the inflation rate since the 1980s. I've known this forever. We just talked about that. So food and energy, real inflation is about 5%. So they're manipulating it. There's a bunch of different ways they manipulate the inflation rate. They took up food and energy. So if a steak was, $9 before, and now it's $14, it's called substitution, where they go, they can't afford steak. They're going to eat ground beef. There's no inflation anymore.
Yeah.
There's all these numbers they use to manipulate the inflation rate. So, and these are like, you can go check this out. Just ask AI. How many ways does the government manipulate the inflation rate to make it lower? It just spits it all out. Like, we have such access to information these days. So inflation can make you wealthy. You take your fake money, your fiat currency, your Federal Reserve notes, also US dollars, and you buy assets with limited supply. You can buy gold ETF for $20. Boom, you own it. You can buy a silver ETF, put $20 into it. You could buy a Bitcoin ETF, put $20 into it, right? And then those assets have limited supply. They go up in value. Your debt gets smaller because it's priced in US dollars. Getting wealthy is very easy these days. My book's $12. It took me 60,000 hours to learn. I was a financial ad. The book's $12. Like, go learn the strategy. Buy, borrow, die is the strategy that has created more billionaires ever in the world. Buy, borrow, die. Very simple investment and tax strategy. I have a lot of students I teach this to. Our youngest student started at age 9. They're age 9, and they're using the same strategy and they're in a homeschool, right?
So age 9, you said?
Homeschooling course. Age 9, yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
what do you think of
neuroplasticity, right?
Sorry?
Oh, there's something called neuroplasticity.
Right.
Yeah. Neuroplasticity is your ability to learn things, learn new things. Okay. When you're young, it's really fast. Children can learn multiple languages, right? Really fast. As you get older, you can learn, but you have to work harder to change your ideas. So they make sure to get at your kids when they're young. That's why they teach them save money, get good credit, build your credit score, put money in a retirement account, open up a retirement account. Yeah, for sure. Because it's hard to unlearn it as you get older. You can, but as a child, you should teach your kids the buy, borrow, die strategy when they're 6 years old. I'm teaching hundreds of homeschool students this. Like there's like 20,000 kids in the homeschool. I'm teaching them all the buy, borrow, die strategy. I'm not going to let the banks indoctrinate them and brainwash them. I'm going to teach them how rich people think. I'll just show them the exact same strategies that I use.
How are you teaching them? Is it because your books are being used in homeschooling, or is it through your website? What is it? The perfect.
Theperfectportfolio.com. Yeah. Yeah, just to give you some little bit of context here, I resigned from the financial industry in 2018 because I thought it was disgusting. I couldn't even say the words that they were, talking, right? I knew they were all fraudulent. I sat in all the big meetings where they're talking about maximizing profitability of the shareholders. I was working with Transamerica at the time. My opinion, I think it's a horrible company, all of it, right? That's my personal opinion. Okay. Yeah, and then I resigned. I'm like, this is garbage. I can't teach this stuff anymore. Now I'm not a financial advisor, but that could be a good thing. So I resigned in 2018. I started a tax consulting company in California, but it was all in-person seminars. Okay, so they all canceled during coronavirus. I'm like, what am I going to do now? So I know how to invest. So when the pandemic happened and the market crashed, I knew it wasn't a scary I knew it was a plan, big pharma, usual crap. I knew it the first time I saw it. So I went on my Instagram pages and I started investing, and I post my trades on Instagram. They're still there. I help people make a lot of money who are following me on Instagram, help my friends. So people said, Mark, you should start a financial education company. I'm like, totally will. So we started the Perfect Portfolio. We've taught this strategy to over 600 ordinary Americans. And interest rates were really low, so we could invest and then we could borrow at 2% interest. So imagine you're borrowing at 2% interest. It's almost nothing. And then when you borrow, you don't have to pay income taxes. So you buy assets, you never sell them, you never trigger the capital gains taxes. You borrow from them, that's step 2. You avoid paying income taxes because loans aren't debt. Loans aren't taxable, okay? And then 3, you can die with no taxes on your money. That's buy, borrow, die. So we started.
But don't your heirs have to pay the thing back, the loan back, the principal?
It doesn't matter. So let's say I have $100,000 in an investment account. Okay. And I borrow $10,000. So it'll be $500 a year in interest. Who cares? I don't even pay my interest. Okay. If my account makes $20,000, my account went up by $20,000. I got to pay $500 in interest. Who cares? I'll just keep funding it forever. See, my strategy is simple. I use stocks, ETFs, life insurance, real estate, crypto, and precious metals. I buy those 5 assets and I fund them forever, and I never stop buying them. I never sell the assets, so they never stop compounding. If I borrow from one asset to buy the other asset, I didn't pay income taxes. So I circumvented the US tax system. Right?
What do you think about? I heard that President Trump is considering reevaluating the price of gold, making it equal to the actual market price these days, and not the $42 that it's been forever.
The last time the government revalued gold, they stole from the American taxpayers, because a long time in history, that was like when they took us off the gold standard, gold was at, first of all, they said, hey, give us all your gold. So people lined up and gave all the government their gold.
That was FDR.
It was $20. and then they revalued it at $35, and then they robbed from the American public. So I don't trust the government. I don't care if it's blue or red or who's in the office. I just don't trust the government because they're all in bed with the big corporations, and the corporations have a lot of money. Big pharma, you know how much money big pharma has on influence on our politicians, all of them. So you can't rely on the government. You can't rely on your Social Security. You can't rely on financial advisors. You can't rely on CPAs. You got to rely on the person in the mirror, yourself.
Yeah.
And you can learn this stuff. It's not that hard.
Scheme. And it's made worse because if Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid were not given to illegals, then there would be no danger of anything ending in 2032.
Well, I think it was a Ponzi scheme.
Oh yeah,
it was a Ponzi scheme. Yes. It's just math, right? So if people were living till 65 before, then it works, right? But when people live to 95, it doesn't work anymore. The math is going to run out, right? But but our money is a Ponzi scheme. They have to print it for the system to keep running. So our money is a Ponzi scheme. Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. Colleges and universities are a Ponzi scheme. But
Social Security, you'd be better off having that money withdrawn, but then putting it into an account that you control where the money is invested, and you would get a better return. You'd get a better return on Social Security withholdings if you put it in a bank account at a measly 6% than what Social Security actually gives you. They spend it all. Congress was not supposed to touch it, but they've touched it every single year it's been in existence. They spent it off the books.
Yeah, the solution is we need automatic savings plans for people, and we need to provide real financial education. And my company is trying to do that, by the way. My company is trying to provide financial literacy, the exact same strategies that wealthy families use, to everybody, right? So we actually have a class tonight, by the way, at 8:00. So we're running it. I'm going live at 8:00 tonight. So I can send you the link if you want to check it out. But we're going to put it inside an app. I had a meeting with an AI company. We want to make this available to everybody. Financial literacy at the best financial literacy in the world that I personally use. It's in the book, but books and courses take a little bit. So we want to put it inside an app, empower it with artificial intelligence, so we can provide financial literacy to everybody who wants to get financially free. It's not that hard. It's actually, so I would put the argument forward that now is the best time in history of the history of humanity to build wealth, because we have inflation. If you buy assets that go up in value, there you go. You get rich, because the dollar is going down means the debt's getting smaller as the asset's going up. So buy assets with debt. Real estate, you buy it with debt. I don't buy a house with my money. I buy it with debt. It's digital entries on a screen. I literally buy homes with digital entries on a screen that I don't have to work for. We don't have money. We have digital entries on a screen. That's it.
Right.
I don't want to buy anything with my money. I want to buy it with debt. Low interest debt. Right? This is what the rich people teach their kids. Right?
Yeah.
Other people are following around Dave Ramsey. Great. Dave's a nice guy, but nobody's getting wealthy with his advice. He's a great guy. There's no doubt about that. But nobody's getting advice. You're not going to get advice. So think about that. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that big government and Wall Street created the entire financial industry so that financial advisors and CPAs can get financially independent and not pay taxes? So then they can teach their clients, their customers or their clients, to do the same thing. Do you think that's likely?
No.
No. Would it be the opposite? Wouldn't they train the financial advisors and CPAs to not know what they're doing?
Yeah, so that the banks
to recommend only retirement accounts?
Yeah, I mean, this way they get that money and they use it to make a lot more interest than they're paying you for your having bought that particular instrument, whatever it is. I mean, you may be happy getting, say, 5%, but they're making 20% off your money.
Well, and you can do the same thing. I borrow at margin. It's called margin. I have investments I borrow. I can borrow at 4.65%, right? And I can put it in a covered call. There's a thing called a covered call. Without going too much detail, it pays a 12 to 14% dividend.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't require work.
Wow.
I just
Is
borrow
there
money
a lot
and
of risk
invest
in
it.
that?
No, it's a covered call. It's let's say it's a covered call on the S&P 500, right? The S&P 500 is the biggest 500 biggest companies in the world. They're not going anywhere. It'll go up and down, but what if you just bought forever and never sold?
Right. Yeah.
And then you want to borrow some, every now and then you borrow some money and buy more of it. You just bought another income stream without work and with zero taxes. So the thing you have to remember is, how much money do you make when you're not working? If that number is zero, great. Go buy a covered call. It's all on my YouTube channel. I've interviewed all the money managers. It's P2 Wealth is our YouTube channel. P2 Wealth or the Perfect Portfolio, or search Mark Quann.
I'm sorry,
My
P2 Wealth?
P2 Wealth is my YouTube channel. Yeah, there's one called QQQI, right? Not to make, this is not financial advice, but it's a covered call on the NASDAQ. It pays a 14% dividend, right? A person can buy that, put $100 into it. Great. You're making $14 a year without working. That's better than nothing. Keep buying more. I mean, but again, I invest in gold, silver, Bitcoin, real estate, whatever. And then you can buy real estate and generate income without paying taxes on it.
Mm-hmm.
Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to donate to a church? Invest, press the borrow button, take a loan, donate that to your church. That's a double tax deduction.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I wish I had paid more attention to finance, especially personal finance, when I was younger. Didn't help that I got divorced years ago. But
well, my youngest student is 9 and my oldest student is 95. He's a former fighter pilot. And the funny thing is, the 9-year-old is just as excited as the 95-year-old. He's a former fighter pilot, and he's like, man, he's the nice guy in the world.
right.
And every day he gets up, he makes his bed, because he was a military guy, right? Got to make the bed perfect.
Right.
He prays for an hour a day, and then he just learns finances. He's like, I'm going to learn this stuff. I'm going to teach it to my kids and my grandkids. He's 95. He's having the time of his life.
Yeah, my grandson
this is almost as funny.
My grandson is interested in finance. So, I mean, he's going to be an engineer. He's going to go to engineering school. He's been accepted by every engineering school he's applied to so far. Hasn't decided where he's going to go yet. But he said his choice is going to be whoever gives him the best deal with his scholarships, because if he can get 100% from somebody, he'll probably go with that one. He doesn't want to come out with tons of debt. If he comes out of college with $20,000 debt, that's one thing. But if he comes out with $250,000 in debt, he wants to avoid that. Okay, so I'm glad he's got that up here. I didn't have to worry about that because my father paid for my education and my brother's education. Not that it did us completely good, because we had the businesses. We thought that was going to be there forever and so forth. There's a long history to that, but we would have been all right if it hadn't been sold and so forth. But anyway, I didn't plan properly. My ex-wife used to plan very well, and so she's okay. And plus, she had a job that she kept every year. She was a teacher. She was getting more and more every year and so forth. Had great benefits and all. So she's doing well. Me, I can't complain. I could complain. I mean, but I'm okay. I'm not poor. I'm not on the streets. I've got a nice apartment in a great town. So, I'm okay. Could be things could be better, sure. But I'm close to where my grandkids are.
I can show you how. Hey, what? You can get hold of me. I'll jump on Zoom with you and show you how to set it up. You can get wealthy. Anybody can. You're going to have to work a little harder to change your ideas, because neuroplasticity, it's harder. Well, you can change them. You just have to decide, first of all, you want to do it.
I'm very adaptable. I mean, and I recognize my past mistakes, and I learn from them. So I'm very open to anything that'll help me increase what I have. I do have some money in the bank and so forth, but and some investments. Not what I'd want to. Not like my brother. My brother, for example, but because he started investing when he was and saving when he was in his 20s. I was a bit of a
That's good,
spendthrift
but
then.
I mean,
Anything we put away was my ex-wife was the one who was putting it away. You know.
yeah. Well, I mean, anybody, we start people with the same way. Everybody starts at $100. So we open an account with $100. We show them what they can buy. We'll put some gold, silver, we'll put some stocks in there. We'll put some covered calls in there for income. And then you just fund it and you never sell it. And then there's a borrow button. When you have over $2,000, you can borrow money and you're using the exact same strategy that billionaires use. Like, how did Elon Musk buy X?
How did he
spent
what?
$44 billion to buy Twitter, right? How did he buy it?
Yeah, X, that's right.
Yeah, how did he buy Twitter?
He borrowed it from his other, he borrowed it from the banks, I guess, right? Based on his assets?
Secured by a stock. So you know what he bought Twitter with? Digital entries on a screen. You literally just pressed the button. They created 44 billion digital entries on a screen, and he bought X, and he didn't work for it. So you don't need to be that wealthy, but you can certainly do. You can save $5,000. You can press the button and buy another asset. You can buy a gold and silver ETF. Great. You're doing what Elon Musk does. It's just scalable. It's just adding zeros. But imagine that. He bought a company. He didn't do anything. He just signed a piece of paper and said, and there you go. $44 billion was created in a computer, and he owned Twitter. Okay. Now it's probably worth $80 billion. So he has an $80 billion asset. You know what he did? Digital entries on his computer. That's what he bought it with, digital entries. Wow. There's no money in the world. It's just digital entries on a screen. People think it's debt. Well, no, debt. There's bad debt. Bad debt is you take those things and buy TVs and Starbucks and cars and all that stuff that goes down in value. But if you buy things that go up in value, bam, real estate, gold, precious metals. I love Bitcoin. Right? I want to own a lot of Bitcoin. And then you just understand. You know, anybody can learn this stuff. Right? You have to unlearn, and then you learn. Right? So it's pretty simple stuff. So, yeah. I wrote. By the way, if you open Be Smart, Pay Zero Taxes, it's dedicated to ordinary Americans. Okay. It's dedicated to bricklayers and HVAC workers and factory workers and high school. What's that?
The people who need it the most.
Yeah, we're looking at doing financial literacy for firefighters and police officers now. So we might get the contract. I can't say which city it is, but it looks good.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck with that. And is there anything else you want to cover? Let's see. I asked you that about. Oh, you also sell your book at zerotax911.com. Is that correct?
Oh, that's so Newsmax is my. I was contacted by Newsmax early last year, and they asked me if I could write a book. Yeah. Oh. They could ask me if I could write a book. So Humanix is my publishing company. They're owned by Newsmax. So Newsmax was what asked me if I could write this book to prove that ordinary Americans can use this strategy, right? So they came across my books. They came across what I was doing, and they said, what? Ordinary Americans can use the same strategy that billionaires use? I'm like, yeah, they can. I've been doing it for years. So they asked me to write the book on it, and that's why Humanix is my publishing company. So, but I've been on CBS. I've been on all the news before talking about the book. So it's pretty controversial. It's definitely throwing a wrench in the system there because people are firing their financial advisors. They're like, they're getting financially free. They can learn how to do it themselves. They're paying less taxes.
Right.
I have a somebody can buy the book for $12. They can learn. That's nothing. They can have a video course. It's like $600. They can do 4 easy payments, $147. Then they can learn. And I have a live course tonight. I teach a live course 4 times a year. I'm teaching that tonight at 8:00 Eastern time. So, I can send you the link. You want to come check it out?
Send me that. I'd like to check it out.
For sure. Mm-hmm. And I've talked to a lot of people on the radio and TV and stuff like that. And they're in my course. They're learning this stuff. So there's lots of people that they're worried about if they can retire, right? They're talking on the radio and they're worried like, man, I don't think I'll ever retire at this rate. So I've been teaching those people. I have lots of super wealthy clients. I don't really care to make money. I'm totally good. I'm great. I know how to invest. I don't need the money. I have lots of wealthy clients who pay me a lot of money to not have to pay taxes. So I can do a lot of work for very little or nothing. But I'm still running a company. I got to make $300,000 just to cover my company costs. So I can't run a company for free. This isn't a not for profit either. Yeah,
of course.
So yeah.
All right. Well, actually, thank you very much. You've been a wealth of information, useful information. Unlike a lot of financial advisors, the quote unquote. But and I like the fact that I hate doing that. Occasionally I have to, but
yeah. Well, it's
right. At least you're doing it for the average guy, not for somebody who's got, like, oh, I got $1 million in the bank. Where do I put it? No, I got $500 in the bank. How can I increase that amount?
I've got them both. I've got again, I've got a client who started at 9. He just turned 10. He's using the strategy. I got the 95-year-old former fighter pilot, and a guy who's gonna make $154 million this year. And he's like, how do I pay very little taxes on $154 million? So I got everybody. Yeah, I got people who just started with $100 and they're learning it. They're just kind of getting used to it. I got everybody. So
right. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The View from Here Behind Enemy Lines. I've been talking to Mark J. Quann, who knows his stuff when it comes to money. And I hope you took something out of this. I will put links to your social media and to your website in the show notes. And I'll process this and get it out tonight. Normally I publish something Wednesday morning, but we're not going to be able to do that today. But it'll be out later.
Yeah, and by the way, if somebody sees this video a little bit after tonight, no problem. We'll throw the overview on our YouTube channel at P2 Wealth. You can watch it there. We run 3 classes for free. So we have a class this week, a class the next week, and the class we don't charge anything for that. You can learn a bunch of stuff. We have a video course on our website. Anybody can learn, but to learn, you have to unlearn first. And some people just aren't willing to unlearn. They're just stuck in their ways. They're like, I'm doing it this way. Yeah. I'm a Dave Ramsey guy. I'm getting out of debt. I'm like, that's fine, but you're not going to win because you can't retire on a retirement account. And if Social Security gets cut, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble.
True. Well,
all right.
We're gonna be putting. I mean, this episode will also be sitting on our website. We have all our interviews since I started doing the videos on our website, and there'll be a link to that in the show notes. Also, there always is. So Anyway, I hope you folks have enjoyed this episode of The View from Here Behind Enemy Lines, and that you've learned something. And I hope you buy Mark's books, at least this very last one, which I'm going to have to order from Amazon today.
Yeah.
Okay.
One more time. Be smart, pay 0 taxes, right? Be smart.
There you go. Be smart, pay 0 taxes. And that's using the buy, borrow,
red, white, die strategy to get rich and stay rich. So.
Okay.
So there we go.
All right.
Well, thanks, man.
We'll see you next time on The View from Here Behind Enemy Lines. All right.